Hi, Jonathan York from Beck Financial Partners, looking at investment markets. Another week, but still the same sort of issues taking place. You've still got the government shutdown in the US. Trump seems to be sort of digging in pretty hard. Obviously, the Democrats on the other side who now have control of the House. And really, both sides just don't seem to want to meet in the middle. What's not helping, though, is that most of the facts that sort of come out of the White House just seem to be a little bit wide of the mark. It's going to be, say, sort of very interesting to see how this sort of plays through. So far, a lot of the election promises that Trump sort of, campaigned on, really aren't coming to fruition. Certainly Mexico isn't going to be paying for the war directly. He's trying to put some sort of spin on it now. It will appear as well that the number of sort of illegals coming through that sort of border is pretty sort of minimal. These figures are sort of backed up by official figures that were given to Congress. We've still got the ongoing China-US sort of trade talks as well. Although this morning the US has now cancelled the next sort of meeting. Now, whether the US is just trying to play hardball there, sort of, it's very hard to sort of get a handle on what's sort of taking place. Certainly, the longer it goes on, it is detrimental to both economies, and probably more so the US at the moment. Because when you add that to the shutdown as well, the US economy is, potentially could be sort of relatively sort of flat for the first quarter. Certainly the shutdown is starting to impact pretty majorly on the sort of 800,000 odd federal employees. But also, more importantly as well, Trump is starting to lose sort of popularity now in the polls. About half the population blame Trump for the shutdown. That backdrop, the US equity market is doing reasonably well. It's interesting, obviously, with the backup in valuations on the sort of sharp sell-off in November, December. Some of these stocks now look pretty attractive. Especially if we've got earnings coming through now. Many of these stocks now, their earnings guidance for the next sort of 12 months is still sort of flat to up slightly. But yet the share price is down some sort of 20–25%. When you sort of back those numbers through the valuations, some of these stocks look pretty attractive. Obviously, the other issue is the sort of the ongoing investigations, and as yet, there's been no sort of fresh news out there. But potentially, I think in the next sort of couple of months, it could be very interesting to see how this sort of plays through. especially with the testimony coming out of Michael Cohen, Trump's former personal lawyer. Oil back around that sort of $52 a barrel, and again sort of oscillating around there, sort of plus or minus sort of $2 a barrel. In the UK, Prime Minister May has sort of survived the no confidence vote. Still got some pretty major issues with Brexit. What doesn't seem to be helping is that the leader of the opposition, Jeremy Corbyn, just doesn't seem to want to talk. And certainly he isn't putting forward any sort of concrete proposals either. All he's doing is just sort of criticising her policies and her plans, which is all very well, but really the UK opposition party really needs to sort of pull their heads in and sort of sit down and get around the negotiating table and come up with sort of some concrete plans going forward, rather than just criticising everything the government's doing and not really putting anything positive on the table. Many of the world leaders and central bankers are in Davos this week for the World Economic Forum, and it'll just be interesting to see what comes out of that. Normally not too much comes out in terms of sort of direct policy changes, but I say it's really sort of behind the scenes talk and sort of chats, etc., meetings that really lay some of the groundwork for sort of ongoing situations. Here in New Zealand, the economy is doing okay, GDP is sort of reasonable, obviously record low unemployment. And now it's just going to be interesting to see how it sort of plays through in sort of the first half of 2019. Now, if you are looking for income options, there's plenty of alternatives available out there. Call us on 0800 867 323 or go to the website www.bayfinancialpartners.co.nz for lots of interesting articles. I look forward to speaking to you soon.